Good morning. It's Wonder of God Wednesday, and as we continue in our reading through the Bible in 2021, I want to share a few thoughts on a very popular verse coming up in our reading tomorrow, Jeremiah 29:11, and how it's often taken out of context. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Especially during challenging times in our lives, this verse is a helpful reminder of God's provision for us. With its reference to God's plans, protection, and a future filled with hope, it's often used as a spiritual security blanket during struggle. But unfortunately, many interpret this to mean that if we just endure our immediate circumstances, we'll soon emerge victorious in God's ultimate plan of prosperity. And prosperity in our culture takes on a meaning of thriving success, especially economically. But that's not what this verse is saying. When we understand the context of it, it actually takes on a much deeper meaning and even more powerful beyond that of prosperity. In fact, most translations don't interpret the phrase as plans to prosper you, but rather plans for your welfare, your good, plans for peace. And the Hebrew word used here is shalom, which we know as a greeting of peace. Jeremiah spoke these words to Jews who'd been living under domination of other empires, and just before being carried into exile. These words were spoken to people in the midst of deep suffering. This hope and future that God had in store for Israel did not include immediate return to freedom. In fact, the verse right before, they're told their captivity would last 70 years. God's promise of hope was in the midst of that captivity. God's provision for us does not always include immediate escape from difficult circumstances. Suffering doesn't just disappear. Rather, God promises peace, well-being, and good in the midst of them. This promise reminds us that God is always working for good and never wastes our pain. And more than that, God walks with us into and through our darkest times. In the verses immediately following, God proclaims, "When you call on me, I will listen to you. You will seek me, and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart." And as people of faith today, we know that promise even more through Christ, who reminded and assured us of God's power that has defeated anything that tries to work against us by going into the depths of it all. As Jesus stated in John 16, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." So I want to close by linking you to a song by Andrew Peterson called "In the Night," which can be found in the Post. The chorus goes like this: "In the night, oh in the night, oh in the night, our hope lives on." It's a powerful song reminding us of our God who walks with us and of his plans for our well-being, for our good, and the promise of hope in and through all circumstances. Friends, have a great week in the hope of Christ.